Let's get started. Thanks so much for coming out today. My name's Zoe. I'm on the success team here at Formative, and I'm super excited to welcome Miss Samantha Thomas here. She is just an expert formative teacher. She's been with Formative, sounds like pretty much since day one, and she is a third grade teacher, and I think y'all will learn a lot from her today, whether you teach second grade, whether you teach calculus. She's got a lot of amazing things on how she uses formative in her classroom. So Samantha, take it away.
Hello, my name is Samantha Thomas. And yes, like she said, I have been using Go Formative since the very beginning. I found Go Formative on Pinterest and I fell in love with it ever since. I have done professional development in my school as well as my district. So a little bit about myself. Like you said, I'm a third grade teacher. I teach in Indiana. I have been using Go Formative for many, many years. And so as the world stopped and we were forced to teach from home, I was confident that I would be able to give the material to my students, present it to my students, give them feedback, and to be able to monitor their progress, even though they are not sitting in front of me. And I knew I could do all of these things to Go Formative. So I walked confidently into distant learning because I had Go Formative in my toolbox. So today I want to be able to show you how I use Go Formative to get real time data to use for reteaching, along with how to use it for progress monitoring. So in my district, we are not back in person yet. This is our students last week before spring break. And after spring break, we're doing synchronous hybrid, where I will have some students in front of me and most of my students will still be at home. So I won't be able to walk around my classroom and monitor the way that I have been doing for so many years. I have taught for 12 years. So I'm not going to be able to walk around my classroom, but I still want to be able to keep an eye on them and make sure that they are doing their assignments and doing their personal best. And I'm going to show you how to be able to do that. So let me share my screen with you.
And I'll pop in real quick. If y'all do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A, and we'll do some Q&A at the end, or if it's something I can answer, I'll answer that in there.
All right. Thank you, Zoe. All right. So again, the purpose of this professional development is to show you how to use real-time data to drive your instruction. And I'm also going to be throwing in something extra to show you how to be able to monitor your students like you would if we were in a non-COVID time. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is create your assignment. You want to always think with your end result in mind. You know, what information, what data do I want to collect? And you're very careful about the questions that you select or you create so that you can quickly get the information that you need to determine if you need to teach the whole group or if you need to just teach certain students. So this is an assignment that I use in Go Formative. I will be sharing that slide with you in a second, where we were teaching our students how to compare fractions. And we have been working on it for a couple of days. And we were teaching how to compare fractions, the same denominator, how to compare fractions, the same numerator, how to compare fractions as equivalent to one. And I was like, Like, okay, I don't know which students can do what. I don't know, be able to break them into breakout groups, into repeating groups. So I created this assessment to quickly to be able to identify those students who could compare fractions with the same denominator, who can compare fractions with the same numerator, and who could identify fractions as equivalent to 1. And um, this is where, so once you have created your assessment and you will post it and your students are starting to work, this is where you get the data. And I love the total part because you get to see them as they're working. So they get it correct, it turns green. As they get it wrong, it turns yellow. And of course, the student's name will be right here. I did not add my student's name there for their own privacy. I just kind of took a snippet so you can see what part of both Formative I am using. So again, you can see in real time, how your students are doing. I also use this part of both Formative to be my walk around to monitor what they're doing. So I see Johnny right here has not, we've been working on this for 5 minutes and he has not answered one question. Then I'm reaching out to Johnny and say, hey, Johnny, please get to work. Or I see that my student, Mary, who I know is a very high student, she's getting every question wrong, but I know that sometimes she doesn't always do her personal best. I can say, Mary, hey, please go back and redo this. I think you can do better than what you're doing right now. You have gotten all of them correct. And a cool tool that both Formative has just dropped for us is that we can clear out their answers. So I can go in and clear out all their answers, say, okay, go back and read this again. This time, please make sure that you're doing your personal best. So let's look at the actual assignment that I used. I'm going to look at this as a student. So, you can add your own little header up here. You can put in a video. I chose to pull one off of YouTube. I believe in stealing as much as I possibly can. I will not reinvent the wheel if I do not have to. But I could also have recorded my own video and upload it here and have my students re-watch me comparing fractions and then have them do their exit slip. I mean, this is perfect for students who come in after you have already done your modeling section and you're like, okay, you can just simply say, okay, make sure you watch the video. Or a student may need to see it again after you have modeled it, see it again. Also, I included directions. And so the student can push the play button.
Less than 6/8, greater than 6/8, or equal to 6/8.
So for those students who need to be able to hear those directions, that is a tool that both Formative has used. And then I also put something extra there for those students who finish early and you're not quite finished collecting your data. They can record themselves saying there are three multiplication facts again. It could be anything. That's just something that we're third graders. I'm a third grade teacher. We are learning our math facts. So again, on your end, you will want to go to view responses. You will go to review responses and you want to click on total and your students will pop up here and that's where you will get this. Again, I'm not showing you my students' data for their privacy because now even have their little icons and pictures and everything up, which I think is so adorable. So that's where underneath total is where as they are completing it in real time, it's going from red, it's going from white to red if they're getting it wrong, green if they're getting it right. Of course, you have to put those answers in beforehand as you are creating the worksheet. I also can send them, give them feedback. Say, hey, look at that again. Are you sure? Remember that remember whatever you want to say to them, and you can give them feedback right then and there. So once I have collected my data, which it will look something like this. I have my cheat sheet. So I know that 1, 5, 8, those students who got 2 out of the 2 or 3 of these questions wrong, that I know those students need to be in my group where I am going to reteach them how to compare denominators. For my students who missed 2, 4, and 6, those students need to be in my reteaching group for how to compare numerators. My students who missed 9 and 10, those students need to be in my group where I'm reteaching them how to find numbers that are equivalent to 1. So as they're working, you're taking your notes, you're creating your groups. And you will already have your material created. So I have my 2 group materials already created. So this is my reteach group for denominator. So I will go to assign, I will go to 3rd grade, and then I will go to options, and underneath here, if I push this tab, I can choose the student. So I have my little clipboard. Okay, Mary, Bob, Tom, they need to be in this group. I'm going to assign them this assignment. And again, I'm going to share. And so I made a quick video that I made inside of the app.
You are here because you did not make fractions. So I beforehand my school video and
So, as you are still collecting the data, but you've already assigned these kids, you give them the directions right there in the video. They can watch another short video, and then you could assign them to a breakout group. You can pull them to the back table, however you choose to do your reteaching, where you choose to do your reteaching. And then I did the same thing for reteaching with a numerator, where this is their assignment. And in this assignment, I will, of course, go over and model with them, how to compare fractions the same denominator. And I can also give them maybe the last 2 will be another exercise to see, did you get it the second time around or third time around, or do I need to hit this again? So, again, once you have collected your real-time data, then you can create those breakout groups where you're working with those students based on their needs, based on the data that you have collected. And this can, depending on the number of questions that you have, this can be done very quickly, and you could be having your stations like you would do in non-COVID times. Are there any questions about what I just showed you?
So feel free to write in the chat or the Q&A and ask any questions. It can be about data-driven instruction. It can be about anything having to do with formative at all.
I use this for subjects. I just chose that.
Yeah. Samantha, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Um, what question types do you like to use the most?
Like, multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do use open response, and again, it's very quick because it's all right there for you, so I can quickly see what each student has answered for that question. So, but
Nice.
when I'm trying to quickly collect data, multiple choice
Mm-hmm.
because it's right or wrong. And I saw someone said, they have so much homework. You have a long list of homework that, you have to do at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quick way to not have to take so much home with you when you are
Right.
collecting that data right then and there. Where I
Mm-hmm.
just showed you how to use it as station work to continue your lesson. But I also do this with their exit slip. And, I quickly do it before I leave or in the morning where I'm
Right.
thinking about, okay, so I'm going to teach this new lesson, but these students over here haven't got today's lesson. So while these students are working on today's lesson and they may have something else to do like a ZachPath or multiplication.com or something else, I can pull those students who did not get yesterday's lesson because data is already there for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
plain, red and green. It's already there for me, and it has cut down on me not taking so much home with me. And
Awesome.
I'm using what I'm creating. I'm using those exercises. Sometimes we, give our kids assignments, but we're not actually using those assignments
Mm-hmm.
to help them and to support them because it just becomes so much. And, we have to be very deliberate and on purpose about what we give them. Like, okay, I'm only going to look at 4 or 5 because 4 and 5 is going to give me the information that I need to know who got it, who don't got it, and what can I do to make sure that they become part of the dotted group?
Right, right. I have a question in the Q&A, and it says, can you show how I could get my students to use, I guess, Formative to write an essay? And I don't know that your students are writing essays, but I know you had some reading materials and some ELA materials. Do you have any of that you can show us of how you use Formative in your ELA portion? I know you had some interesting stuff.
I do. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to, if you can go on with the question, I'll go
Cool.
forward to my
Yep.
list of.
So for our anonymous attendee, we do have an essay type question. So you can have them write an essay on there. You could also have them, write in a Google Docs and then paste that URL in, the essay box or short answer if you want to look at it on a Google Docs, whichever method you prefer. And I'll actually.
I have something right here.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm not a Zoom expert. I'm sorry, it's taking me.
You are totally fine. Me
Google
neither.
Meet. Google Meets, I can, run circles around, but Zoom, we weren't allowed to use it. So I was always only a attendee, never in charge of anything. I just had to sit here and be pretty. Now I
Definitely
have to
get
actually
that.
do something. So all right. So this was a question I gave my students. Imagine you were on a trip to the moon, describe the trip and tell what you see and do. And they would just, write their answers there. And then you would do response and you can give them comments based on what they have done.
Yeah.
So that's
Are
one
you
way.
able to, do you have responses and you could hide the names so we don't see the student
I
names?
didn't have one in this one, though.
Oh, you don't have that one now. Okay, no worries. All right, we have a question. What were the greatest hurdles to overcome when you first began using Formative, and how did you overcome those? All right. And so I know for you it was a while ago, so maybe like if you know any teachers who are just using it, if you remember.
I think the greatest hurdle would be figuring out what tools to use for what, when to make it a background, when to upload it as a PDF. Like for reading, because I'm teaching third grade and I'm teaching my students to be able to go back into text and find the reading. I upload the reading as a background so that they can use those tools to highlight. So I think the biggest hurdle is trying to figure out which tools work best with which assignment. So I'm getting the most out of Go Formative.
Awesome. Are you able to show us that by chance? If you don't have an example, just like creating a show your work and showing how you might upload a PDF in there. Let's see.
Okay, so here is one. Am I sharing? No. Am I sharing?
No.
So we were using, because our students are at home and we could not physically give them paper, we had to come up with a way to be able to give them assignments. And so what I did was I uploaded on a PDF of the poster that goes along with the assignment, as you guys can see. And then I uploaded it, and then where they will write what goes into this column, point of view, and then their details goes inside here. And then then I wrote the questions here, and they will write the question, they will answer the question there. And then again, you can see where I turned this into a picture, like, so they can just see it again, how they can how can they answer a graphic organizer, answer open response question. I think this was an old one where we actually was in class. We were actually in school. We were doing this. And so it was easier for us to throw the whole week in here. So this is a whole week of the reading. And we would just tell the kids, focus on this story right here. Now we break it up into days. Just the kids are not in front of us, but it was just easy for us to be able to take PDFs and put it here where we can interact with them. And, while my students are doing their quick checks, I can give them feedback. I'm thinking about when I was in the classroom, sometimes I would yell across the room, "Hey, can you please make sure you guys are capitalizing the first word in your sentence? I'm looking at your work and half you guys are not doing that." Or sometimes you just call one student out like, "Hey, Sally, you're not capitalizing the first word of your sentence." You can see everybody going back and making those changes. So that's one thing I love about Go Formative. Like, you can see what they're doing in real time. You can give comments privately, or you can just, like the whole class. Like, I'm noticing, almost all you guys are not, where's your details? Like, give me an answer, but you have not given me anything to support your details.
Yeah. I love that. So I guess, how do your students feel about learning with Formative?
They like it. They like being able to get it digitally and know where it is. Students like it when they know what to expect. Once they learn how to use the program and their parents at home know how to use the program, it's no problem. And we use something else like, "Hey, wait, we learned Go Formative. What are you doing?" Who have mastered that program. So, I find that when you use one program and they learn how to do it and the parents learn how to do it, it's just best.
Okay, very cool. Is there any tips you have of maybe when students are getting started, any tips of like how to introduce them to Formative, or do you just assign something and feel like they kind of intuitively are getting it?
with anything, I share it, share my screen with them, and I make sure that it's in student mode, and I show them the tools that I'm using, and I model. But I would have to say that, I have introduced Go Formative to many students, and they catch on very fast. I never had a student say, I don't know what to do. They catch on really, really fast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate y'all being here. And y'all have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.